The Las Vegas Raiders are expected to hire Klint Kubiak to be their next head coach. And I don't know about y'all, I freaking feel like Raider Nation, we are back. So get your hands on a Weird Kubiak, whether it's a t-shirt, whether it's a hooded sweatshirt. And if you want to get your hands on some Weird Kubiak Raiders gear, go to the link that you see down there below. It's going to be in the comments. It's going to be in the description of today's show. Chatsports.com/Kubiak, because Raider Nation, we're back. My name is Mitchell Renz. You're watching the Raiders Report, and coming up on today's show, I'm going to do my best to project what Klint Kubiak's contract is going to look like with the Las Vegas Raiders, because personally, I think that there's two options for Kubiak to get this deal done with the silver and black. Now, we're going to walk through all the things that you need to know, because it's not just as simple as, hey, this is what I think the contract is. There's a rhyme, there's a reason to why it's going to be a certain amount of years, certain amount of money. Then you got to look at the average. The first thing that we have to discuss is, I do believe that Klint was the Raiders' top candidate. And I say that because when you hear a lot of the reports out there, apparently the Raiders were interested in a young, innovative, offensive-minded head coach. With that being said, they also were interested in Jesse Minter. In my heart of hearts, what I believe is that Kubiak was the top offensive coach, and Minter was the top defensive-minded coach. And because Kubiak, I'd make the argument, was the top coach this cycle, he was the number one candidate that I had for the Raiders all the way back in December. I also think Kubiak knows that he was the top candidate. I don't know if he was the top guy like a Ben Johnson was last season when he ended up going to Chicago, but if you're Klint Kubiak, you know for a fact that the Raiders obviously wanted you, that you want to go to the Raiders. And when you're that top candidate, it does. It means more dollar bills, y'all. Let's go to the next thing that you have to look at. You have to also look at all the other coaches that were hired this cycle. I mean, 10 job openings, 32 teams in the NFL. I've covered the NFL for 10 years in my time here almost at Chat Sports. I don't think I've ever seen anything like this, but you're going to see something that's familiar. The number is 5. Joe Brady, Mike McCarthy, Jesse Minter, John Harbaugh, Kevin Stefanski, Jeff Hafley, Robert Saleh, Todd Monken, Mike LaFleur, all agreed to 5-year deals, becoming the new head coach of those respected teams. At the time that I'm recording this video on February 2nd, we don't have the exact contract details to those coaches yet. All we know is it's 5 years. So what I anticipate Klint Kubiak and Kubiak's agent to do is go, well, I want 5 years. The problem is I don't know if they're going to get a 5-year deal, which I'll explain here in a little bit. The other thing you got to look at is the past Raiders coaches, because this is the 6th head coach since 2021. A lot of different moving parts around. And Mark Davis, as we know, has invested a lot of money in coaches that aren't here. I know for a fact $50 million at least in just coaches that aren't still here with this organization. But let's just look at the last 4 head coaches, okay? And I know Rich Bisaccia, he was an intern, but in terms of that deal got done. John Gruden in 2018, 10 years, $100 million, fully guaranteed. Josh McDaniels in 2022, 6 years, $60 million, $10 million per year. Antonio Pierce. There are rumors out there, and they didn't know if it was a 2 or a 3-year deal with AP. I personally think it was a 2-year deal for Antonio Pierce, because one of the biggest reasons why Cliff Kingsbury backed out of his deal was Cliff wanted 3 years. The Raiders were only willing to offer 2, on top of the fact that they didn't have an exact answer at quarterback. So my best guess is it's 2 years, $16 million, but Antonio Pierce was making $8 million a year. And then you look at Pete Carroll, 3 years, $48 million, $16 million a year. So after seeing those numbers and those figures, and then you think about what the past head coaches got from this cycle, 5 years, I want you to fill in the blanks. Not 1, but 2 blanks. And this is going to be the pinned comment on today's show. The Las Vegas Raiders, okay, expected to hire Klint Kubiak. So you're about to get hit with a YouTube ad break. While that ad is playing, I want you to fill in the blanks. Klint Kubiak signed a blank year contract worth blank with the Raiders. Now, obviously, I'm going to give you my answer to that question here in just a moment. But again, to me, I do think that there are two different contracts that the Las Vegas Raiders could try to draw up for Klint. And I'll explain what this contract looks like, and I'll explain what this contract looks like here in just a moment. Before I get into that, though, huge shout out to our sponsor, Prize Picks. The big game, man. I can't flip and wait to watch Seattle up against New England. I can't wait to watch our new head coach in action. In the big game, it's almost here. And there's no better way to cash in during America's biggest sporting event than Prize Picks, where it always feels good to be right. And since the big game is literally this Sunday, that also means it's your last chance to get into the football action before next season. So close the season outright with Prize Picks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. Get in on the action. It's available in all 50 states, and y'all know I'm a man that loves a good deal. The deal that I want you to look at is Drake May, 0.5 pass yards. If you plan on making a lineup for the big game, you have to put Drake May in your lineup. It's one of the reasons why I love Prize Picks, because we know that we're going to be watching. I'm going to be watching JSN, Kenneth Walker, Sam Darnold. We're going to be rooting for the more on those. But you know what? This also helps you put a little bit of that money in your pocket. Whether you want to go with the power play, whether you want to go with the flex play, that flexibility is totally up to you, which is why I love Prize Picks. Hell, I might end up going with a little Sam Darnold stack, maybe a Kenneth Walker stack. If you don't know what a stack is, it's picking the same player up to 3 times. So download the Prize Picks app today. Make sure that you use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. So let's go to the first contract here. I'm going to call it Contract A. And this is the deal that I expect the Raiders to offer Klint Kubiak and his agent first. I think it's going to look like a 5-year, $75 million, $15 million per year. This puts him as a top 8 highest paid coach per year. I also think smart organizations do smart things. And again, at the time I'm recording this video, Sean McVay, him and the GM, they came to it looks like a contract extension. Why that's so smart for the Rams to do that is because obviously it's just like when you give an extension to a player. The Raiders were really smart to give Crosby an extension last season because they knew Micah Parsons, Myles Garrett, Will Anderson. These guys are about to get extra deals. T.J. Watt. So if you're the Rams, you try to get that deal done. So some of these numbers, some of these figures might change in terms of a top 8 highest paid coach at the time recording this video. But Ben Johnson, $13 million per year. Mike Vrabel, $14 million per year. Those were 2 coaches that the Raiders, Tom Brady, were interested in. So I believe that because it's another year and because you wanted to sweeten that deal a little bit, 5 years, $75 million, $15 million a year for Klint Kubiak. That's contract A. Now let's go to contract B. And there has to be a reason why it's not going to be 5 years, right? Because if all the other contracts in the NFL are 5 years, there's got to be a reason. The reason why contract B is a 4-year deal, it's because John Spytek has 4 years left on his contract with the Raiders. So last offseason, Pete Carroll got 3 with an option for a 4th. John Spytek got 5 years. So because he got 5, I can understand why Klint Kubiak, why the Raiders would want to try to tie him together. You could also argue, well, maybe we decide to move on from John and then keep Klint as the head coach. So the reason why you're going to see $17 million here, 4 years, $68 million, you go one less year, but you go up in per year, and this would make him a top 5 highest paid coach per season. So if you want more money, you can go for the less years. But if you want the 5-year deal, that's contract A. So let me know which one you think is the better deal, but I want you to let me know from the Raiders' perspective. Klint's going to get the bag no matter what, right? We used to say, give him a blank check. Crazy. The movie Blank Check, only $1 million. How times have changed. Better contract. Give me an A. Give me a B. Let me know down below. My answer coming up here in just a moment. The reason why I'm going to say it's contract A for the Raiders is because the more years you have Klint, I think the better it's going to be. I will be honest with you. I don't really give a flying flip whether it happens or not because, again, this doesn't impact the Raiders' salary cap at all. But the number one reason why I'll also say it's contract day, it's because if it's a good contract, well then, yeah, you get the extra years. If it's a bad contract, well then it's actually easier for us to get out of that deal a little bit sooner. And if it's a bad contract, then it's easier to move on from John Spytek, and it's also easier to move on from Klint Kubiak together at the same exact time. So if it was up to me, I would go with contract A for the silver and black. Before I end up hopping on out of here, I anticipate all y'all are going to watch Klint in the Super Bowl. I can't wait to be able to watch this offense get to work, and I want to see fireworks. I want to see fireworks because I am watching my future head coach. I do feel like the exact same way that I did watching Fernando Mendoza in the Indiana National Championship game. I'm like, that's my next quarterback. I want him to go out there and I want him to do his thing. But I want him to get that hunger. I want him to get that taste of, you know what? Winning a Super Bowl as an OC is really cool. But winning a head coach a Super Bowl really, really can totally separate. And his dad was able to do it. If you do plan on watching the game, the other reason why I bring this up is Chugs and I, we're actually heading out to San Jose, California on Thursday in preparation to party with Raider Nation Friday night. Fairway Zone Sports Bar and Lounge in San Jose, California. There's the address. There's the time. There's how you call to reserve your spot. It's going to be a packed joint. I'm telling you that right now. And if you want to hang out with other members of the Chat Sports team, our Seahawks, our Patriots hosts are there. 49ers, Eagles host, and VP of Content Chase is going to be there. F. Sam is going to be in the building. And then obviously, my guy Chugs, we're going to be there. If you are down to party, I want you to show the Chat Sports team how Raider Nation gets down.